This is the story of Katya and Kristof. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a beautiful castle with towers and parapets, surrounded by lovely gardens with streams and paths and flowers. But in the castle there lived an ugly old witch who hated everyone else in the world. She used to go up on the roof of her castle to watch for strangers, and she was magically able to make herself disappear and reappear as an owl, so that no one would know she was there. From her roof she would watch, and if any passing youth came near, she would change back into a witch, wave her broomstick, and change them into statues of animals, which she collected on the grass in her garden. Any maidens that came too near were changed into pretty birds. And on the dark side of the castle, near the waterfall, she had built an enormous cage in which she kept all the pretty birds, who tried vainly to escape. Now one day, a peasant boy named Kristof took his sweetheart for a walk in the woods. Pretty Katya loved looking at lovely flowers, and suddenly Kristof realized that while she was searching for a special blossom, she was going through a gateway they had never seen before. Too late he realized she was going into the witch's garden, but he could only watch in horror. But the witch had already seen Katya looking at the lovely blossom, so she quickly came down to see who it was that trespassed in her garden. Then, before his dismayed eyes, Kristof saw the old witch change his dear Katya into a colourful bird and put her in a cage. In vain Kristof pleaded with the witch to free his sweetheart from the enchantment, but she laughed at him and ordered him home. And as he stumbled back through the wood, the witch mocked him, crying, "In a prison cage I've bound her, with my magic I'll surround her, never more shall she be free. Hence, young lad, away with thee." When Kristof eventually reached the cattle he tended, he pined for many hours for his lost love, and when at last he slept, all that he had seen went whirling around in his head. Finally, he had a strange dream in which he found a magic bush of flowers, and he knew that if he could use one flower as a talisman, he could end the witch's enchantment. When he awoke, Kristof travelled all over the land, searching for the flower. At last, on the 10th day, he found the wonderful blossom of which he had dreamt. So he plucked it and went back to the gateway of the castle. The witch saw Kristof, but she could not touch him because he held the magic flower. Kristof went to the enormous cage and looked inside, but his Katya sadly was not there. But when he pointed at the cage with its flower, it suddenly disappeared, and the maidens were reunited with their rejoicing families. Kristof next pointed at all the statues, and they too disappeared, as the youth also reappeared with their families. But now he had to find the witch who still had his beloved sweetheart. He knocked loudly at the door of the castle, but instead of coming out, the witch came round the side, and with her she had the special cage. Kristof pointed his flower at her. There was a tremendous flame, and before him stood his beautiful Katya. And as they came together, bells rang out from the tower, and from now on there would only be children playing on the grass, and the only sound of birds singing would be those who lived free in the forest. So now Katya and Kristof could marry and live happily evermore in the beautiful castle.